we have a fairly good grasp on how Git works, let's turn our attention to some DVC concepts. As we've already mentioned, DVC is a data science tool that helps with the machine learning workflow. It helps you manage large datasets and model artifacts. Data and models are going to be managed and versioned using DVC, while you will continue to rely on Git for the source code versioning. Let's see how DVC can be applied to the standard machine learning workflow. Consider an example where the data that's going to be used in training the machine learning model resides in a database. This data is going to be used to train version 1.2 of the model. So there will be a set of data transformations. That transformed data is going to be saved in a file called data.csv. Notice how that data.csv is associated with a version number as well, and it's the same version number that is associated with the model. So here, both data.csv and the model are version v1.2. This link is actually an important one, and this relationship is quite deep once you stop to think about it. In machine learning, the model varies based on what it's been trained on. So you can't really reproduce the training process of a model unless you have the original data. And that's why it's so important for both the model and the data used to train that model to be versioned and maintained in similar fashion. Otherwise, reproducibility goes for a toss. This, of course, is where DVC comes in, and DVC works closely with Git. Here, the idea is that we have two commands, dvc init as well as git init. The data file itself, data.csv, is going to be stored on some remote storage, which could be a cloud bucket or some kind of on-prem network storage. Notice how we have version 1.2 of data.csv on that remote storage. Just like we have dvc init, which is a one-to-one analog of git init, there are also dvc add and push commands. These are going to send the data to the remote storage. It's worth mentioning that we have dvc init and git init, we have dvc add and git add, and we have dvc push and git push. However, even though we have a git commit, there's no dvc commit. That makes sense when we stop to think about it, because DVC does not draw a distinction between a local and a remote repository. Everything in DVC is geared towards remote storage. In Git, on the other hand, there is an explicit distinction between the remote repository and the local repository. Git commit will only commit to the local repository. In order to send it out to the remote, we've got to run a git push. So again, we have DVC init, DVC add, and DVC push, but we don't have a DVC commit. DVC, of course, is only going to be used for the data and the artifacts, such as the saved model.